Pamela, I find it interesting that, we've entered this new realm where, vampires, zombies, and the fear of witches within certain groups, or that someone has secret powers, has now become very prevalent in a lot of teen movies and fiction. Can you talk about that?
You've heard of the Age of Aquarius? Okay. In the precession of the equinoxes, you've got about 2,156 years per astrological sign. Pisces was the age before this one, and it was all about devotion and idealism. So you see the rise of the major religions in the last 2,000 years, and all the beautiful art and the music that was all based on that idealism. So when you come to the Age of Aquarius, which is coming in now, it's the age of the magician. So in all the old lore, you moved from the Age of Aries, which is back in the classical warrior times, and Aries is the warrior, right? So you had all those stories about, the Iliad and the Odyssey and the warrior gods. Then the Age of Pisces was about religion and priestliness and the whole idealized aspects of religion, with of course the dark side in there too, see more at the Crusades and all the bloody wars. It really isn't much of a surprise that we're seeing so many more of these types of stories if you take the perspective that it is the age of Aquarius, it is the age of the magician, it is the age of spirit into matter. And so many people would say, well, this is just the natural progression of what's going on in the cosmos, certainly on the earthly realm. And many people were predicting it, actually. If you look at some of the metaphysical writings from the turn of the century, and even up to the 1950s, turn of the last century, and up to the mid-century, they're always talking about how there's going to be more magic and more magicians come the Age of Aquarius. And that the first 125 years of that shift, because as with anything changing, you've got that phase change, that period where the old isn't gone yet, and the new isn't quite solidified yet. And what do you see today? You see the battle between the old idealism, religion aspects, and the new magician, manipulation of matter, and a lot of that science is in there too. But the metaphysicians would explain it as we're in the crossover time. And so a lot of people who are more in the ideal system are going to find this new system a threat. And when you talk about witches, and somebody says, well, why do people, what's the whole thing about thinking somebody's a witch? And often it's either they're jealous or they're afraid. Remember the witch hunts of Europe and America not too many centuries ago. And just like though with any kind of dictatorial system or any kind of oppressive, controlled system, you give people a chance to report on other people, to turn them in, to reveal them as a communist or as an intellectual. You got a lot of people out there with petty little gripes, and they're going to do it. They're going to point the finger, because humans can sometimes be pretty venal and tacky and mean. And so you give people a big target, and they're going to throw everything against it. On the other hand, the fear side, I think most of us fear what we don't understand. That's just human nature. So if somebody seems to be doing something that you don't understand, and you are afraid of that just inherently, then you're going to start pulling together more explanations for it. Couldn't possibly be that she's just smarter. She must have cast a spell to get that job that I wanted. It must be witchcraft. No, not necessarily.